Hey guys, it's Mir, and today, well, we're finally going to address the elephant in the room.
Abigail!
So as you probably know, lots of people have been complaining about Abigail recently, especially because he got some new buffs with the release of Arcade Edition, even though he never was considered a weak character by the community. I'll quickly go over the most important buffs they got with the patch. His Crouching Light Punch and Crouching Light Kick are now +5 on hit, allowing Abigail to link into Standing Light Kick, which is now 5 frames of startup. Since Abigail has very long limbs, this makes it so he can get very long confirms off of lights into specials. And because everything he does deals above average damage, this is one of the best light confirms in the game. As if that wasn't enough, he can also attempt to command grab you after attacking you with his lights. This can lead into extreme damage with the X command grab, especially if you have V-Trigger 1 active. Another noteworthy change is that many normals and specials got their juggle potential tweaked. This makes new damaging combos possible. This is a considerable buff to his damage output. Furthermore, his V-Trigger 1 got buffed too, extending its duration. These changes are on top of all he already had before in Season 2. For example, let's talk about his V-Trigger 1. It is an install type V-Trigger which gives Abigail access to charged heavy attacks. These attacks can lead into full combos and are extremely powerful juggles, notably the back Heart Punch loop. Abigail also has armor while he's charging them up, and can also guard crash for a skilled combo. Crouching Heavy Punch is especially dangerous for these guard crash scenarios, as you can space it so you can get thrown on their WAKEUP and catch people trying to jump out of it, making it an almost unblockable setup. Turning up your normals consumes part of your remaining V-Trigger timer, but you still get a lot of uses out of it, and it's only a 2-bar V-Trigger. For a V-Trigger that gives you touch of stun combos, I'd say that it's a little bit unreasonable, don't you think?
Oh, this is so bad. Wait a minute, is he dead?
I think he might be dead. I think he might be dead.
The crowd
is going nuts.
The stun at the end.
Why? It's not right. It's not right for America.
Of course it doesn't end here, right? Abigail still has many scary tools in his arsenal. For example, his back Heart Punch, or more specifically, his back Heart Punch R-Punch target combo. Back Heart Punch is a decently fast normal that can be comboed into from his standing medium punch, and can be special cancelled as well. Although going for back Heart Punch is not optimal damage in most situations, it gives Abigail strong ulti, allowing him to follow up on your knockdown. It's always important to remember that Abigail has a command grab, making every wake-up situation extra scary, especially considering that the X command grab can lead into this situation again. One last big pro of his back Heart Punch is that during V-Trigger 1, the level 2 charged version of this move has increased juggle potential, and can even combo into itself as I mentioned before. Oh, and can also neutralize projectiles, or even reflect them during V-Trigger 1. Another strong tool he has is his jump. Although very short and shallow, it actually makes it kinda hard to anti-air, especially when empty jumping. His Jumping Heavy Kick is also a very good jump-in button, with long reach, albeit on the low side. Abigail's cross-up is very tricky to deal with as well, especially because of the unnatural trajectory of his jumps and having a wide cross-up hitbox. Of course it's extremely dangerous to get jumped in on by Abigail because of his very high damage output, and even with the AE changes to anti-airs, the risk-reward is skewed in his favor. You would then think that the right way to deal with Abigail would be to zone him out, especially with fireballs, considering he's big and slow. This is true to an extent, as characters like Gal are pretty bad matchups for him, but that doesn't mean he has no will to be with zoning as well. As mentioned before, his back Heart Punch neutralizes projectiles, and you can cancel it into his V skill to parry fireballs up to 2 hits. He also has access to his Giant Flip, which can go over said projectiles and set up a favorable situation for Abigail, considering that the medium and heavy version are both plus on block and leave you pretty close to your opponent. His Command Run, and especially the EX version, have armor on them, allowing you to charge through firebolts and score a punish if the opponent spaced them improperly, or attempt a command grab if they recover in time and try to block your attack. These command grabs also give you reliable ulti and deal massive damage on their own, making them especially rewarding to land. This means that if your character has bad fireballs or slow pokes, it can be very hard to deal with Abigail's advance, and you might be eventually forced to back up into a corner, which is of course a very unfavorable situation. On top of all of this, I guess I should also mention his critical arc. It might not be the fastest around, but considering its immense reach and the huge portion of the screen it covers, it can be very hard to deal with, especially in chip out situations. You can't really jump out of it if you're close, as it will watch you out of the air, and most of the time you can't even backdash it, leading to unescapable death situations. Now, although I mentioned all of these things, I'm not suggesting Capcom should remove Abigail from the game or anything drastic like that. I personally like the design of this very scary brawler type character that you don't want to be close to, in a similar fashion to Zangief, but instead of threatening you with command grabs, using powerful normals and armored moves instead. The problem with Abigail is that he's way past that. He has access to way too many tools, and at the same time his conversions lead into ludicrous damage and stun, possibly making one error fatal. He can open you up with command grabs, which in the case of the round command grabs and the Abigail's mash also give you ulti, possibly looping into the same situation again. His normals have great range and can trade pokes even with the best in the business, and even though the speed of his lights was one of his biggest issues in Season 2, those got buffed, so they're even more effective now. Abigail also has a surprising amount of tools to deal with zoning, as mentioned before, further going against the sluggish, bulky character archetype that he's supposed to be. His V-Trigger 1 makes him even scarier while only being 2 bars, and on top of that he has the highest health in the game at 1100, meaning that he'll get his V-Trigger at a higher health percentage compared to other characters, while also being harder to KO. What I'm basically saying is that the character right now is clearly way too strong and deserves to be nerfed, while at the same time, they should try to keep his archetype intact. Considering the huge amount of tools, damage and range he has, I'd mainly go after his ulti and setups, making it harder for Abigail to loop into the same situation over and over again, and have him work his way back in after resetting the situation to neutral. At the same time, I'll lower his damage too, especially going after a back hard punch loop doing V-Trigger 1, as it can lead to stun combos into death and is generally way too much for a character that already pumps out crazy damage. I was honestly surprised that Capcom didn't remove it already with the AE changes. Speaking of V-Trigger 1, I believe it should be a 3 bar V-Trigger, especially considering Abigail's huge health pool. Even then, its duration could use some tweaks, possibly increasing the amount of gauge that is drained when doing charge attacks. I know that this video might sound extremely negative, but I'll leave on a positive note. It's critical to share these kind of complaints and most importantly suggestions with the community and hopefully Capcom as well. Mindless criticism of course won't lead anywhere, so it's paramount to get the facts out so people can voice their own informed opinion. The reason why we do it is because we want the game to be the best it can be, and this is the first step to ensure that something will change in the future. We'll see what Capcom does with Abigail. I'm pretty sure we can expect a mid-season patch just like last season. In the meantime, don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe to the channel. We always have new content on the way for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.